Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hey, Rodney, how are you?
Andy, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. That sounds really good. And as we're waiting for people to come along, if you're new to this channel, with this live stream, what Rodney and I do is we talk about things that would impact real estate or the lending business, which my name is Andy Elliott. I'm a real estate agent, realtor here in Williamson County, Tennessee. I am seated in a different location, Rodney Wilds, loan officer with First Trust, also in Williamson County. And so that's sort of our main thrust. But if you have questions, and I know we've got people that are watching after the fact, if you're from out of state and you've got questions about real estate or lending, feel free to give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email. We'd be happy to talk to you. That's why we're here. In the meantime, we're not trying to do anything other than just create some value for you and hope that's all good. Rodney, what'd you do over the weekend?
You know, I had a pretty relaxing weekend. Didn't do a whole lot. Got caught up on some football. That's about it. My son passed his driver's test today, though. That was we had a milestone there.
Oh, okay. All right. So you've got everybody on text blast so you can warn all of us. Put us on a text blast.
Yeah, I mean, this is the national warning right now. It's live. It's just, you just take it right now. It's your warning.
And so Christmas is around the corner, and I think that at least I'm seeing, maybe you're not, for anybody that's watching, we absolutely run our business independently, and he's got a big team. I don't. But for me, this holiday season, typically on a normal year, slows down a little bit during this time of year, and it's doing what I've expected, frankly, from my perspective. So, are you seeing that? Is that the case for you? You don't have to answer that.
Yes, no, it's typically seasonal. Outside of the last couple of years, I think we've kind of almost got our seasonal seasons back as far as normal slows and busier times. Last several years, outside of the last couple, has been we haven't had a slowdown. It wasn't like a season two Decembers ago. It wasn't we were busy as all get out. So yeah. It's nice to enjoy the family this time with a normal workload, I should say.
Yeah. And I always teach people that if they're within earshot and they're asking a question, because that's the question you'll get is does it get slower during December? Well, there's two sides to that story, and yeah, it does slow down. However, and I'll keep this short, but it's kind of important if you're in the real estate game or if you're looking for a house to sell or to buy. The buyers that are looking during the month of December and early January really are serious because it's either cold or it's inconvenient or it's close to the holidays. People that are looking in the month of December are serious buyers. And on the flip side, if somebody is got their home listed through the holidays or up to the holidays and through the holidays, I can pretty much guarantee you that they are serious about selling their house. And so I call it, I've always, for last, 18 years or so, I've called it a high hit rate. If you're a buyer or a seller during the month of December, you're going to have a high hit rate. You're going to be talking to sellers that are serious, meaning they may negotiate, or sellers, if you're talking to buyers, they are serious, so hit rate goes way up in the month of December as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, I agree. If you're out during this time, you're definitely serious.
Yeah, you're looking for it. So we've got, I guess we're going to look at that. Got the screen ready to go here. We've got rates we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to start with this a little bit. Oh, yes. And look who's here, Rodney. Angie's with us today. Good,
Nice.
good. Oh, gonna have to rewatch. Good deal. That's all right. Ready, Rodney?
All right. Well, let's start back out in here where if you can see my cursor move. This is June of 2023. We were hovering around this. Let's call it a 102 mark, 102 for a mortgage-backed security. Kind of flattens, and then what about in this area right here? We start seeing a significant decline around August, all the way to October down here, October 19th. And as you can see, we have had a nice rebounding trend all the way up to today. And this is about, 100.34 to, that's almost 102, 98. This is almost a 400 basis point swing in the month of October through today. So that's great news. That is great news, great news, great news. It typically don't rise this fast, but I like it.
Well, and the thing that for anybody that's new, if you're watching this and you haven't seen this before, when he's talking about getting better and it's going up, remember everything here is, as far as I'm concerned, it's reversed for interest rates.
Yes,
correct.
It's a Japanese candlestick chart, basically, where you can see it's just if you think about this is how much money we're receiving for a loan. So if you look, so the higher the better. So if you receive more money from it, means we can get a lower rate. That's basically what that means.
Oh, that I never put that together before. Okay. Yeah. Well,
so yeah, we're 360 basis points from our bottom. So that's just a little over a month ago. So that's a phenomenal turnaround right there.
Well, and the way that I'm seeing it, and I know you don't like to use raw numbers in terms of interest because it's different for everybody. It's a case by case basis, just because you read on the internet that it says 8%, that doesn't mean you're going to get that. It just depends. It's case by case. I get that. However, in this last week, it did go from, if I'm not mistaken, about 769, 779 to where I read today, only moments ago, it's at 7.08.
Yes, it's still continuing to drop right now, which is a good thing. Yes.
I mean, that's darn near 0.75%, right?
Yes, it was close. Yeah, it was well over 7.5%, closer to 8%, running right at 8%, and then it's gotten all the way back down to 7 right now, or just above it.
And so, do you have any insight? And this is unfair because I didn't prep you for this. It's just a question. Why do you think that that's happening?
Well, I think the government, I think the Fed rate cuts had spurred all this to go higher, right? All the information we'd been getting all year long was bad.
Do you mean the Fed rate staying flat? Is that what you meant?
Well, the Fed rate cut got us. The Fed rate cut helped the inflation, right? It slowed down the economy. And I think that's what we're seeing now is the effects of us starting to see those numbers come to fruition, like our inflation and it's not where they want to be, but it's a lot, we're getting very close to where if we stay on track of where we're at, we're going to meet our the government's going to meet their inflation goals. So that I think that's just what, and this is all part about, pulling us out, timing this right. If it's a soft landing, that sort of thing. So the economy's not doing that great. So as soon as the economy, as soon as they slow the economy down a little bit, our rates are going to go up. I'm sorry, our rates are going to go down.
Well, and it's Philip. Hi, Philip. How are you? Hope Wendy is there, and hope you're both fine. And he starts out with a parting shot. Philip does. Word on the street is the Fed will cut 2 to 250. I assume that's basis points next year, right? And here's.
Hey, we should have him on the show all the time because that brings us to the next segment, doesn't it?
I'm telling you, you can join right up to us, buddy. I'd love to have him on the phone and get his thoughts. As a matter of fact, we should try this, Philip, if you're game. I'll leave it up there as I was instructed to do. The reason that I thought this was a prudent thing, I listened to a podcast called the Daily Wire, the Housing Wire, and their topic was, everybody's starting to think about rate cuts now, and so if you've got a mind to, Rodney, let's kind of dig into a couple of things about the pros of a Fed rate cut. Now I think that's something that we talked about a week ago or so was it's not so much the rate amount, it's the duration. If a market is stable, then people sort of come out of hiding a little bit. They feel confident. It's not scary, that kind of a thing. Right. And that's why it seems to me, if you were talking about a rate cut, wouldn't that seem a little risky to you to sort of to rock the boat a little bit at this juncture?
Well, I think it would help. I think people don't get nervous when it's going down. I think people get uncertain when it's going up. Like
if somebody's looking, I didn't mean to interrupt, but maybe if I don't have to say it, I'll forget. For somebody what I'm saying is if they're too responsive on the cuts, meaning to do it too fast, for somebody that's looking for a deal, whatever that might be, and as humans, that's what makes capitalism run. If they start to drop the rate, wouldn't that sometimes, for those that are ready to go, they'll go. But for those that are shopping for a deal, they're going to go, if I wait a couple more months, they might cut again.
Yes. It's just like the people who's like, if they were coming in and refinances, well, I'd really like to get in the 2s, when they're sitting at 3.1, It's like, you can wait on a miracle. It might not come, but exactly. But I think that the point of that, when people are most uncomfortable, is when they have uncertainty about the market.
Yeah.
But I don't think decreasing rates provides an uncertainty. I think it provides more of an opportunity versus the uncertainty part is like, when are they going to stop raising rates? Because people don't really complain about them going down too much.
And something just occurred to me. This might help me relax. A little behind the scenes here. I get nervous every week before the show. I'm just a little honesty here until something like cracks in my head and I go, oh, I got it now. The interesting perspective shift that I've just had here just a moment ago, and it could be a break from reality, so we have to be a little bit careful of that. But when I listen to a lot of people that are economists and they're talking about these stock numbers, the rate numbers and all the graphs going on down, popping around. The end of the world that Rodney and I deal with is how people feel about the market, not how the market actually is. And I've never really thought about that before. If I'm
Yeah,
and you're the one to maybe think of that. If somebody feels safe, then they are safe to them.
yeah, I think, but a quick to answer your, if since everybody is talking about lowering rates, which I don't see, but maybe a couple 2 to 3 quarter point hits next year,
Mm-hmm.
and probably not until after spring. Um, I mean, people are talking about this. We are still in December. We're still in December. We haven't met, I think that if everybody listens to the Fed, if you listen to the Fed, they clearly say everybody is projecting these cuts. The Fed is not saying they're cutting. The Fed is saying we have not met our goal of inflation at 2% or whatever.
At 2%, correct.
They definitely say we're on track. They definitely say we don't anticipate any raises, but they are not going to tip their hat on a decrease anytime soon.
I 100% agree. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't have the exact date, but we're less than 30 days from when they did not raise rates last time, right?
Yeah, they got another meeting coming up here in a couple weeks, don't they? With some more important numbers with their final inflation numbers and all that.
No, I don't know. I thought the Fed was done for the year. I don't know. But I'm agreeing with you that people. I mean, just because they didn't raise rates recently. I'm going to call it within the last 30 days.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everybody's jumping on the rate cut train. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Now I get it, but this is what Wall Street does is that they react like this. This is exactly what we always talk about when it's like, well, why didn't the rates move today? They raised the interest rates today. Well, as soon as the market kind of figures out they're going to rate or lower it, they're building that in. They're acting like it's already lowered. And then what they do is they'll market correct if it's not lowered enough, however they have to do that with their buying stocks or bonds or whatever they're doing.
I was just reading the note there. He said something at the AM, I'm assuming, meeting that indicated they might drop also to bolster. And the economy is slow. So they're getting the results that they want. And it looks like the jobs report is starting to work. And I just read today that the available jobs has slowed. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if cooling off is the goal, then they're doing that now. And they really are doing that. And there has been, from the things that I've read, and I think one of the biggest things that we have determined, everybody knows it, but when we're reading articles and listening to podcasts and even for ourselves, it's just conjecture, that's all it is.
Yeah.
But I've been reading a lot. There does seem to be consensus on a soft landing.
Yes. Yes, yes. I think there's the easiest path to a soft landing we've ever seen in our lives is like if this thing just plays out at a normal pace. The real estate, like the car market's still a little out of balance. It's still like not good values for cars, right? I mean, they're still the whole economy is not there, but I see it. Yeah, I'm with you on a soft landing. I think with everything we got going, if everything stays like it is, it'd be the softest. We're going to get out of this without people really realizing they're in a recession. In my opinion.
I think, or, without much of one, because it can dip down a little bit, a little bit below the line and not be too severe. I think that's what soft landing means, right? Just because it crosses the line doesn't mean that it's tragedy.
Well, it's one, we always got to, I always talk about the Fed like they control it. The Fed has policies and it does the best it can, but this is not controllable. Like,
Right.
I'm saying, like our economy is not fully controllable. So it could, I guess what they're saying is that if they raised it 12 or 15 times like they did, and our economy wasn't as strong as it was, I mean,
Right.
it could have crashed. It could have we could have seen unemployment rise, people out of jobs, a lot of messed up stuff. But you know, our financial system held it and did, slowed itself down nicely, and now it looks like they're wanting it to ramp back up. So,
And they do have the power, and I know they won't do it, but golly, they could add a terrible amount of fuel to the fire and just inflate the heck out of us, because they got a lot of room to drop rates and heat things up on it. We don't want that,
right. No, because all that, like if they did it right now in our area, we still got something needs to happen to where we're going to, when they do lower rates,
Yes.
that, like Philip just said, it's got to unlock some inventory,
Yes.
or that's the only way we're going to survive, is if it unlocks some inventory, because building isn't fast enough in our area for the amount of people moving here and stuff.
That I agree completely. And the thing that I can tell you, I can absolutely, I wouldn't know how I'd prove it, but I can verify it in some way. When it comes to real estate, when things loosen up and people want to get active again, it's really comparatively easy for a buyer to go out and buy a house if they're untethered, if they don't have anything to sell. It's easy to ramp up purchase numbers, whereas to add inventory, homes ready to sell, on the market, man, if a house is ready to go, it still takes 30 days to get ready. If it needs paint and repair and all stuff like that, it's 60 days. And
Yeah.
sometimes it can take 90 days. So if that's what you mean by unfreezing the inventory, there's quite a lag on building up inventory, because you go from, honey, I've been thinking about selling the house. What do you think? From that to getting a sign in the yard is quite a spread.
Yeah, I'm hoping that spread takes place between 7% and 6% decline,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, like, if people are wanting to move, maybe they're talking about it now at 7%,
Mm-hmm.
and then when it gets to under 6, like that study did, like 80% of the Americans that had a low rate would move if it was in the fives, like high fives.
Yes.
Remember? So
yes.
I think that people are going to get mentally ready as they see these rates dropping and be like, hey, it might be time for us to get back in the market because the payments are reasonable and things like that.
And yeah, that's right. And then we come back to that duration thing. I'm all over that, because I thought about my own personality and how I feel about things. And if things seem stable, that's what I'm calling duration.
Yeah.
And if things are not whipping back up into the 8s,
Yeah.
if they're cycling around at this point 7.25, bouncing around there, if it's going in a direction where next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks it goes to 6.9, oh God, below 6. That's going to be headline makers, and that's where you can almost hear couples talking, boy, honey, if it gets to 6.8, we're selling, or thinking about it.
Yeah. I think those conversations will start taking place as it drops. It'll start adding people to the market.
Yeah. And something that we haven't talked about in a while, because it's hidden by all this confusion in the market, is the pent-up demand. Remember what we were talking about?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
The only reason the market survived at all and prices are still going up, not skyrocket, not rocket ship, but they're still going to, is we still got a pent up demand that is undefined, in my opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine where it's at right now because the pent up demand, in my opinion, most people in this area missed it the first time. Like
Oh,
because
oh,
of the amount of people moving in,
oh, yeah,
and sellers wasn't taking a sale contingency, so a lot of these people stayed in their own houses in this area.
yeah. And think
Wow.
about how many multiple offers there was. I mean, some of them with 10 or 12 multiple offers. Usually it's 4. That's usually
Yeah,
what it is. But
yeah,
you have 10 or 12, and that's, if it was 12, you had 11 losers that are out there
right.
looking for houses. Multiply that times 100,
Yes.
That's, oh man, and that's why, never, how about that? And maybe Philip would agree with this. Just having the conversation of, maybe it's time to have a rate cut. I think it's ambitious,
Yes.
certainly. But think about the timing on this, Rodney. It's like opening a Christmas gift. People are thinking about lowering rates, even if it doesn't happen till June. We can anticipate improving rates and the beginning of a new year and a new attitude, and people are feeling good about things,
Hey, I'm all about but this is the natural order of things. It's like how it is. It's like you know. As soon as they stop cutting, it's like they're fixing to lower them. I mean,
And that was my whole point. I was just like,
yeah,
slow down.
yeah. I mean, so it's it's all good, but this is our reality. Is like Wall Street's going to jump on this, and they're going to bake it in well before it's ever even lowered. So yeah, I like it. I mean, it's par for the course.
Yeah. So the pros and cons, and I'll just kind of go through a list that I got. It's pretty short. So if they did cut rates, what would happen? We'd have lowered borrowing costs. What would be the unintended consequences? People are going to go out and buy houses, and since we don't have inventory, prices would go up a little bit. Not crazy stuff, but they'd go up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's certainly going to be a boost to real estate market. That'd be another pro. The stock market rally. I don't know enough about the stock market, but I bet it probably would. I mean, wouldn't you think?
It says that. I mean,
I don't know.
guess,
No, I don't want to talk.
I'll let the article speak for itself. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so it would help counteract the economic slowdown. That's for sure. We know that. So the cons, and there's a guy named Charles Payne. He's on a particular TV network. If I mention it, probably Charles Payne. If you know who he is, you know who he is. And he is saying that a Fed rate cut would not necessarily be a good thing. Not calling it a bad thing, but he said that's not what he's looking for. And as an economist, and what he seems to be saying dovetails into what we're talking about is that duration. Let things stabilize a minute.
Yeah, I would like to see. I think it's a hair too early to lower them to just. I mean, I think we've talked about it all years. Let some of these cuts work. I mean, they just cut them. Sometimes it takes months for this stuff to play itself out.
Yeah, let it breathe a little bit.
Yeah,
as I think I heard the other night, that I thought was a good point. That let it breathe. I mean, golly, because there is an article, and it says we'll hop off this. The Fed rate thing pretty quick here because it's just conjecture. And then we're going to dip into why is Nashville still booming? That was a couple of interesting articles. But some are arguing that it's going to be a full percentage point of interest rate cut by 2024. The article is the market thinks the Fed's going to start cutting rates aggressively. Aggressively, I think is the key term.
Yeah.
investors could be in for a letdown. I have to agree. Who am I?
Yeah.
But we've been calling it pretty good for a year, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're. Yeah, I mean, I mean, what's aggressive? I mean, I've never. Golly, would they go in and cut aggressive? Cut would be more than a quarter to me right now.
100%. Because then you got to wait to see what it does.
Right. Which, yeah, they didn't on the way up. Right. It was just like
slow down, tap the brakes, stop it.
Yeah. But yeah, they're I'd say they're going to come down a quarter of a point in time. If they do it 4 times or get to a full percent, that would be that'd be pretty good, next year.
Yes, and Philip, I agree with him 100% that they're talking about cuts after the first quarter. I mean, at this point, just talking about it's probably
That's what I'm saying. Just that we think that it's going to happen is a really good sign.
Yeah, everybody's getting
really good sign. Yeah.
Look, I'm so happy. This is what happens when you start talking about that. Here we go. Oh, come on, do it. There we go.
Hey, yes. Nice.
It's Christmas time.
It is Christmas time.
We're just talking about the Christmas rates. So we don't know what's going to happen. So what do you say, Rodney, if we tip into something local? We don't do this often enough, I think. This is from CNBC. It was Nashville's real estate boom builders scrambling and residents facing sky-high prices. I'm not doom scrolling for sky-high prices. But what caught my attention was the Nashville building boom is in full effect.
Mm-hmm.
One of the key points is, of course, housing has become less and less affordable in the area. We've kind of covered that to death. There's nothing new. But here's what I'll kind of dig into a couple of things. Have you ever heard of this John Eldridge? Does that name ring a bell?
I have not. I haven't heard of him, but he was he's the one building he's building something, right? What does he do?
He builds a bunch of stuff. These are just pictures of
E3 construction, yes.
Yeah. And these are hang on, let's see if I can. I'm just showing. I mean, this guy, he knows his stuff. Sorry, picture's a little wonky there. There we go. But he's built a lot. And so one of the things that's being said is, are you familiar with the crane count currently?
I'm not familiar with the crane count, but I knew at one time Nashville or something had a ridiculous number of cranes, like percentage wise.
Back in May, there were 50 construction cranes in the Nashville area.
Just those big skyscraper cranes. Yeah,
50 of those, and it said the crane still lit of the picture, because there used to be I can't remember what the show but they'd have a Nashville crane count. That's
yeah.
I think that stopped.
During COVID. Have you been downtown lately? When's the last time you've been downtown?
I bet it's been 3 weeks.
Okay,
I bet it's been 3 weeks.
In the last year or two. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much is going on. I mean, from the Amazon buildings, to it's amazing what's going on, how much building's going on, especially and down here, even in Franklin. If you draw like the apartment complexes, and I don't know that they're all apartment complexes, but they tend to look the same, Jeez Louise.
Yes.
Like on Carruthers. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing how much construction there is, but it's, despite our prices, despite the home prices, we still got a good weather. People talk about our weather. It's a good, people talk about we get 4 seasons. Now, spring is only 1 week and fall is 1 week. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but we do get it. But you just have to be like, if you're from here and you get fall weather, it's like you better take a day off work and go enjoy it. It's going to be freezing.
Because it did that this year. It was like,
Yeah.
God damn, it's hot. It's 85. Ooh, it's nice. Oh, it's cold.
Yeah. And then spring's the same way. It goes from, it's going to go from 35 to 45, and all of a sudden we're going to be at 75. I'm like, yeah, 85.
Yeah, and from a Colorado perspective, what they call winter.
Our winter is just ice and cold. It's not like you get to go out and build a snowman, throw some snowballs. It's like you get to go outside and slip on ice, and then not make a snowball, and then come back inside.
If you want to make a snow angel, you got to do it in leaves around here because there's
you got to do it with ice.
Hilarious. Oh God. All right. So Nashville building boom's in full effect despite higher interest rates, higher home prices, weaker economy. Got some statistics coming up that'll blow you away. It began well before the pandemic. Now this is this builder, and I just think it was interesting because this article is based around what this builder's conversation. And again, I'm going to show you. I mean, this guy, he builds some stuff, I mean, those are single family, but
single family attached. He looks like he does it all,
Yeah, and this one right there, you recognize that? That's just right around the corner from those folks we just sold just a few weeks ago, or the beginning of the summer. That was just right around the corner from there. But okay, so he's talking about, and the reason it's interesting from him is because the builder confidence level has recently been pretty low, across the country. And yet this guy is pretty happy. It began well before the pandemic induced mass migration from big cities to smaller, affordable ones, which is why they're here. Mm-hmm. During the Great Recession after 2008, the financial crisis, workers were looking for an urban vibe, but cheaper housing. God, I remember that. Jeez. The big changes came after 2008 and 2009. I was just getting started. Wow.
Yeah, that's the awesome thing is that, although our housing is less affordable, like everybody just flocked here, it's, we still got good weather. We got great job and work opportunities. Like you said, with these cranes, I mean, they're building, these office buildings downtown. I mean,
yeah,
and then no state income tax. So it's, even if it's like they're selling in, like somebody said, Los Angeles or something, one of the articles we read.
Yeah.
If they're selling in Los Angeles, that may be 75. We may be 75% of their price or 70% of their price or whatever it is.
Oh.
So they're still getting an affordable house, but they're losing they're getting state income tax. Now, I don't know how they're going to call, like they might get 4 seasons, but it ain't better weather than Los Angeles. I don't know, besides small. Right. Give me Los Angeles weather. I will all day long, but
all day long. I'll take San Diego and be completely okay with it. I mean, they can just run a video on the weather forecast. It's going to be nice and sunny today.
Give me that kind of weather. So, but outside of that, I guess if you're in Los Angeles and you've never had a white Christmas, you could come out here and enjoy it for 5 minutes thinking you had something, and you could slip on the ice and go back in. You've just been fooled with a little bit of ice on top of the snow on top of the ice.
So housing demand in Nashville, and this is this builder, and I just think this guy is pretty interesting. I'd like to meet him and have a chat. But housing demand in Nashville pulled back some during the first years of COVID-19, but the city ranked the top 10, which we're going to have that in a minute, top 10 home buyers looking to relocate to new metro areas in October. With people most commonly moving from LA, according to a recent report. Where is that? It's Nashville again has resurfaced. It reemerged as one of the top 10. It stopped in 2021. So it's just not economics. It's our climate here. It's our fort. Yeah, yeah, that's what you're talking about. This is interesting. Within 500 miles of 2/3 of the population in the United States.
Yeah.
That's a lot of coastline you have easy access to.
Yeah. 500. What does it say? Within 500 miles of
2/3 of the population.
2/3 of the population. Yeah, that's pretty solid. I mean,
That's,
you got to think. Plus, you don't want to see everybody.
yeah.
You don't. There's a third of them that you're not going to like. Right?
For me, it's a much higher percentage for me.
A third of them don't like people from the South, right? So you take all those people out.
But then we come into to the other side of this. Growth comes with growing pains. After the gold rush, me and everybody coming here. And think about it. When you think about, I've often wondered, what's the draw with Nashville? I mean, from a nationwide perspective, why Nashville? Now, I'm a musician, so it's fairly obvious why. That was an easy one for me. But the more articles I read like this, in the past, by comparison, just like you had said, with LA and Chicago and New York and some of the places in Florida, not all, but a lot of places, and then places in Texas as well, there's housing that's much more expensive than here. Nashville is not the top of the heap when it comes to expense, but it's got a lot of the amenities, meaning the weather. But so that combination with got some pretty cool stuff, plus the housing isn't quite as expensive. It's no wonder we got flooded with people from all across the country.
I'll tell you, and people don't talk about this, or it's not talked about much, or I don't ever see many articles at. But if I'd have said the number one reason from everybody I've met coming from different areas, and a lot of people are from the West, like California,
lots.
Mm-hmm. And when I talk to them, the recurring thing comes up with them, and it's about raising their family. It's not always about the weather and this, that, and the other. It's about
or taxes. Yeah,
people, about being around people that they like, is more like-minded than them, and then getting a good education, like going to school and not having some crazy agendas put on them or whatever they're complaining about. But it's always about raising the family versus, or a family atmosphere kind of thing versus a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll just say the unsaid. People worry about crime. Well, Nashville's not in the news a lot about that.
Yeah. Oh, it's extremely safe compared to some of these other cities. And I've been to a bunch of cities, man. And me and my son was I don't want to make fun of the city, but it was a city. No. But we were there, and we walked from our hotel. We was downtown. We went and found something to eat. Walked a couple blocks, and couple people asked us for money and things like that. And my son was in there. He's 16. He's like, man, it's not like or Williamson County. Yeah. I said, no. He is like, well, what's special about this town? I said, son, not everybody's special. I said, we just live in a great area. I'm like, I feel like, Williams County, Nashville is a special place. And I'm like, not every place is nice. It's like, this is one of the biggest cities they have, and it's terrible. I'm like, and
this is going to sound like a bragging, but I'm not. I'm working with some folks from San Diego currently, and they haven't been here before. And I have to say, and I live here, so is it biased? 100%. But Nashville is not only a wonderful place, but Williamson County as a subset in this whole area is a super wonderful place, I think. That's why I chose to live here, did that on purpose. And until people see that, until they come visit that, it's hard to describe without sounding like an idiot, for me anyway, Because, pretty soon you go, yeah, you're just saying that. Well, come see for yourself.
Yeah. That's why almost 100 people at a day was moving into this area. But, it is hard to describe, but I think when people get here and see the friendliness of the people, and they can fit in, and it's just a good place to be. I mean, it's a good place to, yeah, to be around a diverse set of people, and not, it's not so crazy
It
like some of
is,
the other parts of the country.
one of the things that they asked me about is do people, I, I don't know how else to say it, but do you get in fights with people over your opinions? And I was like, no, not around. I've never seen it. Now, you're going to find some places you
Yeah,
go
right.
downtown if there's protests and stuff, which
I
rare.
think there was, I think there was a dozen people down there on one of the protests.
Yeah, and everybody's driving by going, "What do you?
Yeah.
Stop it!"
They go down there and protest and end up in those bars down there. Get to drink all night.
Get to be old buddies. I
Yeah,
love
with
you.
the people they're protesting against, they're all down there. It's all wrong.
Let me buy you a beer. Yeah. But in 2022, when you're talking about 100 people a day moving to Nashville, and people are like, that can't be. Well, here's the numbers. In 2022, the Nashville metropolitan area, this is in that last article, Rodney, the area grew by 35,624 people or 98 residents per day, according to the Chamber of Commerce. Now, they may be a little bit positive spinny, but now it says, tell me if this isn't human nature now. We got 100 people moving in a day, but 80% of the residents believe the population's growing too quickly.
And everybody says that lives there, oh, keep them out. I'll be honest, bring them in. The more the merrier. I love people. I mean, that's evolution. I mean, I would rather be one of the fastest growing cities than a dead city.
You're either growing or dying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go downtown and see the daggone building closing down there with its windows like a lot of towns I drive through. Give me and I'll tell you, driving downtown's awful. Since all this influx of traffic, and our traffic is like, it's nonsense. But give it to me. I mean, I want to grow. I want people to move here. I want it to be the greatest city on earth.
We can fix that. I mean, it's manageable after about a time. Because I mean, here's a true confession for you. I'm in a kind of a job where I can avoid traffic. I just have that option. Yeah. And the other day I had an appointment that I couldn't avoid it, and I'm telling you. There was a lot of daggone traffic, and I was going right to the heart of downtown. And so I got to know some of my traveling buddies, hey, how you waving, and that kind of stuff. It's, traffic is, if it's a problem for you.
Yeah.
Williamson County's nice.
I mean, but and that's the thing again, for us, it's bad. And these people coming from Atlanta look like, oh my gosh, y'all are on a speedway here.
Yeah.
So again, for the residents or the people who've lived here forever, it's gotten a lot worse compared to what we were used to, but good. That's what's evolution. That's what growth is. That's what keeps the world spinning.
It is, but full disclosure too, it's not that way all the time. It's rush hour in the morning, rush hour in the afternoon. So, that is the honest to God my experience with traffic. Yes,
and then when the outside suburbs, like I'm still, I think Murfreesboro has some traffic and things like that. But as far as we go, Williamson County, it's very, our traffic patterns are good. I'm good. Talking about the downtown, especially if you're going downtown with those, where all the buildings are, where all the tourists are, all that stuff.
We have a rush hour where in some cities it's 24/7. That's just not the case. So now here was an interesting comment. It says, for new residents, everybody has a different story. And Rodney, that's what you were just talking about. Because I think that at its base, if you've got a safe area, what I can, whatever your definition of that is, if you've got a safe area per your definition, and it's economically sound, and it seems family friendly, it doesn't take a lot of coercion to get somebody to move here, whatever the reason. if it's politics, if it's taxes, if it's, you banning gasoline lawnmowers like they're doing in California. You see where they're going to threaten with bacon?
Bacon?
Bacon.
Like pork?
I'm talking bacon.
See that right there? I mean, somebody try to do that. They would have another civil war in the South if they want to try to take bacon away.
Yeah, the simple
I will
reason.
die for my country on the bacon hill.
Yeah, don't tread on me, and it'll have like bacon.
Yeah, give me a break. Why? I mean, goodness gracious.
Well, what they're trying to do is make it illegal.
Cigarettes. Yeah, we're still smoking cigarettes, right?
They're going to try to make it illegal for farm animals to be sold to market if they're not raised in a spacious way. It's so they're not. They want them to have plenty of space before they go get butchered. Is what
I'd like to see. I'd like to take everybody who's on that side and let's go to a couple farms I've been to in Texas where these hogs have tore up this place, and you try to catch them by the 50. I mean, they're out there by the thousands, and they're goodness, talking about that.
Bacon.
That's just crazy. I mean, it's like there's a world shortage of the fastest producing animal on the face of the planet. I get it if they say rabbit. Rabbit's pretty good, but they're like cute and cuddly and personality. I mean, why are they trying to say the pig? It's like not even a potbelly pig. The little potbelly pigs you have.
They're cute. Yeah.
It's not. I mean, they should see these things.
Yeah, stay off my bacon.
Bacon is the best thing. Sausage and bacon is the best thing about those animals.
It's the very best. Well, except I do like pork rinds.
I mean, it's the evolution chart. I mean, people who have gunpowder rule the world.
Oh God! Oh, okay. So
we can't have gunpowder.
So just a couple of points that we're gonna wrap up for today. Boy, did we get off the track. That was excellent.
Don't get me started on taking bacon away, Andy.
Oh God, I can't breathe.
Since
Nashville, since 1990, the population has, now this is hard to believe, grown 81%, with more than 2 million residents in the metropolitan. I think it's a little bit high, but the metro, and I call that 11 counties. Some people call it 13, but 81% since 1990. And we're talking about, what is it that brings people to Nashville? Number one, it's people like Rodney. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's awful nice. But
I'm telling you, I mean that. Let's see. Here's just a couple of other little tidbits that this blew me away. The city's primary tourism district also is downtown. We've seen that in the past 20 years. In 2003, there were roughly 1,900 residents living in downtown Nashville. I'm going to call that within 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Estimating, which covers 2.4 square miles. I still think that's probably good. And Turner, whoever this person is, expects it to reach 23,000 in the next couple of years. Remember talking about the cranes?
Yes. And I'm not so sure. It's, golly, 1,900
to 23,000.
Yeah,
that's a bunch.
It is. The 1,900 seems low because you got to think. I was just thinking, you have the Viridian, you have the Encore, the Enclave, you have all these high rises down there.
But so wait. Did we have that? It said 1,900 in 2003.
2003. Okay. So in I don't know if some of those were there. I bet. I don't know if any of them were there or not. I don't know. it has to be close. They have to be getting 20 years old. Some of those things.
Maybe. Yeah, that's how you could look it up. I was trying to figure that out.
But yeah, I mean, so you go from 19 to 30, to that, whatever that number is, 23,000.
That's a bunch. And it said attracted to a central location, 43%. Now this made sense to me. Attracted to a central location. 43% of downtown residents moved from out of state.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because around here, when I first got here, downtown was South Broadway and the Melting Pot.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean there was more, but who wanted to live down there? I didn't,
Nobody, no, yeah. And the crazy thing, I talked to a bunch of clients that moved down there from other states, and it's like the best way I put it, like if they ever moved, like they would take the street that was terrible, with drug house and everything on it, and then they would build at the time a $700,000-800,000 house in the middle of these $100,000 houses, lots, And I was like, man, you're not afraid about, and they're like, these are the nicest people we've ever been around, talking about people, probably selling drugs and everything down there. And they're like, oh, it is nothing compared to their inner city where they come from.
Yeah.
It's like, you kidding me? These guys are great.
Yeah. Relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And like Philip is talking about rents going down, that correlates to us talking about there's so many apartment buildings, I believe, being built. I don't know that I don't stay on top of the rentals, except to say I do know that there's a bunch of them, and those numbers are dropping. But as of August in 23, this is recent now, we're talking about why there's 100 people a day moving to Nashville. But there's two sides of the coin. When it's that popular, prices are going to go up because supply and demand, God bless America. As of August 2023, a family needed to earn August of 23, a family needed to earn $124,000 to afford a median price of $455. And we talked about that 2 or 3 weeks ago, that
yes,
median price, yes, $124. Are there $300,000 houses out there? Yeah, there are. Are they in the middle of the greatest areas? Maybe not, So it doesn't mean you have to have 124, but for median, it does. Up 19% year over year, which is
a lot.
That's a lot. That's nearly $10,000 higher than the 114 needed to buy a median home in the U.S. for 420 in August. So cost of living and affordability are major challenges in the area. And it says, this is interesting, emphasizing the chamber's push, for high skill, high wage jobs as more companies are expanded to relocate. Man, wow. It's just, that's what happens when you get popular.
Yeah. But if you're sitting in Utah, wherever, you're sitting in New York, wherever you're at, you want to move, you're looking at places, and you just look at this number and say, well, if you look across the country, the median price is $420.
Right.
But I can move to one of the top 10 best places in the country for, $35,000 more on your median price.
On the median price, which doesn't mean you have to spend that.
Right. That it just comparatively speaking, it's still, if our median price is the same median price, close to the median price around the country, I mean, I think that would be something high on my list to go to. Like, okay, well, it wouldn't be Beverly Hills. But okay, well, Beverly Hills got great schools, but they're 50 times the median price, so I can't live there, right? So,
right.
To me, with all of our other amenities, no state tax, a great musical vibe city,
healthcare to die for.
Yeah. It makes us a pretty attractive state, I think.
Really, and you've got 100 people a day, plus or minus. That is proven the point. I mean,
and they're not moving to Memphis either. They're not moving to West Tennessee.
No,
that line stops, and all these people are moving in from that line east.
Yeah. There's 100 decisions a day and that's a bunch, it's a great place to live. And this isn't a commercial for it, but I just thought in the midst of the trials and tribulations, and we're done with this section. There's the next section that goes on about how expensive it is. It's expensive everywhere. And that's just what Rodney was talking about. It's a great place to live. And so now you get to make a decision, it's a quality of life thing, Philip had a really good question here, Rodney, that doesn't address that specifically, but it sure does our industry. What do you think about these houses coming back on the market after going contingent, price not matching assessment? So I'm assuming what you're saying is, what about the houses that fall out of contract because they don't appraise? I'm assuming that would you read that the same way, Rodney?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
What I see on that is, let me answer that. I actually don't see that very much. Like when I see a house that doesn't appraise, 99% of the time the seller and the buyer work it out.
Yeah,
I mean 99.99999. It's we always are willing to get on the phone and go over the, like let's say if it's my appraisal that come in low for a seller, like what the seller thought it was worth or whatever. Once they get that information and we're open to having a conversation about it, the data and everything else, and saying, hey, if you think it's different, show us how you got there. Like, my appraiser can discuss it with you, all that. So what we normally see is it gets worked out. It almost doesn't matter how big the difference is. It always gets worked out. I mean, because two people end up they got an evaluation, they can make a decision on it.
And I've got some. Can I chime in on this as the guy that negotiates these things?
Oh yeah.
Here's the difference from a few years ago, because it is black and white, stark, huge difference. A few years ago, this is where appraisal gaps came in. If they listed it at 500 and it was worth 450 and it appraised at 450, people were paying the 500, not even blinking. Just they were paying it. That was out of the norm. That was uncommon. And even the real estate association had to change verbiage and create documentation to account for that appraisal gap. They made that an official term until a few years ago. It was like, what? Never even heard of that. I mean, we did, but not officially. We just make it work, like Rodney said. Now, that's the way it was. But now for a home seller, if your house doesn't appraise, 9 times out of 10, if you don't capitulate to the appraisal, 9 times out of 10, that buyer's walking. They're walking. I mean, it's like, I'll find another house. Even though inventory is low, that is an argument that people aren't having anymore, with one exception, is if it's a house that the buyer is perfect for them. If it's the perfect house for them, they'll chip in something. And that's what Rodney's talking about. That we'll go halvesies or something,
Right.
But
without multiple offers, we're seeing those deals get worked out. And this has been that way since the beginning of time, honestly. For me, it's always just worked out. They just, no matter how bleak it seems at times, sellers and buyers usually come together when they get good information.
But and I'm saying, and Rodney's in a different world. So that from my side of the world, up until COVID, it wasn't even a question. If a house, there was a subtext to the conversation. Oh, the appraisal came in. Oh, so what do you got to sell it for? I mean, there wasn't any negotiation. It was like, if they listed at 450, appraisal came in at 435, that's the sales price. See you later. Otherwise. And so Philip's next comment is, so it's a buyer problem. Not at all. I mean, not the way I see it now.
It worked out best for the buyer. No,
now it does. If it doesn't appraise, the buyer wins.
When you're in that crazy negotiating environment where there is, that crazy seller market, there is no negotiation from the seller at that point. Like
None.
they'll say, you can either give me $1 million and apple pie, or I ain't selling it. But it ain't like that today. And so, or it wasn't like that before that short period of time. It's always been, sellers and buyers come together on that appraisal, unless the market factors dictated otherwise. But 99 times out of 100, it's a good thing for the buyer. I tell my loan officers all the time, I'm like, man, they come in, the appraisal comes in low. I'm like, well, that's a good thing. It's not always a bad thing. Like your buyer may get this house for less, which that may be what it's worth. Okay. So let's just not assume it's going to fall apart,
But to show you how, and I have to admit that this has happened more often than I want to admit, how buyers can be. And I'd probably be the same way. But over the years, I've had apple pie with bacon on top. God damn right. That's right. But I've had a number of buyers over the years where the house didn't appraise, and we just got a hold of the seller and said, well, the new price is, $435, right? And they went, yeah, we'll sign it, Yeah. But then we get offline and the buyer says to me, so I have no equity. You just saved $40,000. No, you don't have any equity. I'm hanging up on you.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh my God. I'm exhausted. That was fun. Apple pie with bacon. And on that note, that was fun.
Great job there.
Thank you for chiming in, Philip. You're just such a pleasure. I hope Wendy's good. Hope your daughter's well. Rodney, thanks as always. Any final thoughts for you, buddy?
No, it's keep on rolling on, man. Let's not bring up bacon next week.
No bacon next week, but I'll see you next Tuesday. Goodbye, everybody.